Ecuador, the national president of the Citizens' Revolution movement, Luisa González, denounced fraud after learning that the coalition was not accepted to participate in the campaign for the referendum and popular consultation in November 2025. In the United States, Senate Democrats voted on Tuesday a Republican bill to keep funding the government, putting it in a near-certain path to a shutdown after midnight Wednesday for the first time in nearly 7 years. Resistance movement Hamas assesses a ceasefire agreement in the Palestinian territories proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Sophie Fernandez from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Ecuador, the national president of the Citizens' Revolution movement, Luisa González, denounced fraud after learning that the coalition was not accepted to participate in the campaign for the referendum and popular consultation in November 2025. In public statements, González described this exclusion as the beginning of a fraud to block Citizens' Revolution movement's participation in the election campaign. She also said that they will use all legal, administrative, and judicial means to reverse the decision. The Ecuadorian National Electoral Council's decision has sparked a heated debate about the legality of the process, electoral fairness, and the future of Citizens' Revolution in the political arena. Meanwhile, also in Ecuador, students and social organizations are calling for a mobilization on Tuesday as part of the protest against the increase in the price of diesel. Student unions of the Central University of Ecuador, supported by environmental groups, artists, and social movements, call for a mobilization in the Plaza Indoamérica in Quito. The call is in addition to the protest promoted by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador, whose mobilization has gained special strength in the province of Imbabura in recent days. The demonstrations in rejection of the executive's decision to eliminate the diesel subsidy have extended for 9 consecutive days, while those affected say they will continue the streets until their demands are met. Meanwhile, the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador presented its demands, which mainly include the repeal of Decree 126, which approves the elimination of the diesel subsidy, and a solution to the health and education crisis facing the country. The group also calls for an end to mining and extractive expansion to guarantee the life and safety of indigenous peoples, as well as a reduction in VAT from 15% to 12%. In addition, they demanded the immediate release of the 12 people detained in Otavalo and all those arrested during the national strike called by the sector. And the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador, CONAIE, intensified its demands by calling for the impeachment of Defense Minister Giancarlo Lofredo and Interior Minister John Reinberg for the violence that occurred during the national strike protest. During a session of the National Assembly's Constitutional Guarantees and Human Rights Committee, CONAIE President Marlon Vargas reiterated the organization's firm stance against these abuses by the government. A second death was confirmed in the context of the protest, heightening tensions in the country. This incident comes on top of the murder of an indigenous leader on Sunday, September 28th, whose burial took place on the same day as the hearing, according to testimony presented. Moving to Argentina, the president of Grandmothers of Plaza de Mayo, Estela de Carlotto, was hospitalized after suffering from poisoning, but doctors confirmed that her condition is improving and that she is now at home in good health. According to reports from Grandmothers of Plaza de Mayo, Carlotto had to be admitted to a hospital as a precautionary measure to be hydrated and monitored. The doctors who treated her confirmed that her condition is not serious and that she was able to stabilize quickly. The leader, who will turn 95 on October 22nd, remained lucid throughout the process and will continue with routine checkups. Despite her age, Stella maintains a busy public schedule, and in 2014 she recovered her grandson Ignacio Montoya Carlotto. In other news, the United Nations Security Council approved expanded the international security force deployed to Haiti and transforming into a so-called gang suppression force. According to the resolution, the force will have a mandate of 12 months and will work with local authorities to neutralize, isolate and deter gangs, secure infrastructure and seek to secure institutional stability. The resolution raises the ceiling of the force personnel from 2,500 to 5,550. The text also requires that the UN Secretary-General establishes a UN support office in Haiti to provide increased logistical support amid the Caribbean nations' overlapping security, humanitarian and political crisis. The resolution was approved by 12 votes in favor and none against, while Permanent Security Council members China and Russia, along with rotating member Pakistan, abstained from the vote. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, Senate Democrats voted down Tuesday a Republican bill to keep funding the government, putting it in a near certain path to a shutdown after midnight Wednesday for the first time in nearly 7 years. The Senate rejected the legislation as Democrats are making good on their threat to close the government if President Donald Trump and Republicans won't accede to their health care demands. The 55-45 vote on a bill to extend federal funding for 7 weeks fell short of the 60 needed to end a filibuster and pass the legislation. After the vote, the White House's Office of Management and Budget issued a memo saying that affected agencies should now execute their plans for an orderly shutdown. Congress' failure to keep funding the government could lead to a laying off of hundreds of thousands of federal workers. In other news in Venezuela, the Commander-in-Chief of the Bolivarian Armed Forces, Nicolás Maduro, led the masterclass on the occasion of the opening of the 2025-2026 academic year at the Bolivarian Military University of Venezuela. Maduro declared that the backbone of the country's military revolutionary process is driven by the Bolivarian Military University of Venezuela. Maduro emphasized that the country today has a strong state, supported by the 5 powers established in the Constitution. However, he emphasized that there are 2 additional powers, which are the empowered and active people's power and the military power, which has been built up over the years in a united manner. On the other hand, the President welcomed the international support in the face of U.S. aggressions in the region. During the event, the President received the title of Doctor Honoris Causa in National Security, in recognition of the outstanding role he has played in firmly and courageously defending the territorial integrity of Venezuela.
Fortunately, thanks to our Commander Chavez and the brilliant minds of an entire people, Venezuela has a geopolitical vision and brilliant diplomacy. Last week was the 80th session, 80 years since the creation of the United Nations Organization, and thanks to that clear, persevering vision and a brilliant diplomacy of peace, we had absolute success with resounding support from all regions, from the overwhelming majority of the countries for our right to sovereignty and peace.
Moving to Mexico, during her morning press conference on Tuesday, President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected the treatment received by the Mexican migrants on the part of the United States authorities and said that the guarantee of their safety is a responsibility of the U.S. government.
What we do is show our disagreement and fight for justice. The guarantee of the safety of Mexicans in the United States is the job of the United States government itself.
Garantizar la seguridad de los mexicanos en Estados Unidos, pues ese es.
If there is a violation, then we intervene by protecting Mexicans through the consular means available and with our support if they want to file a complaint.
Consular que puedan tener, y si ellos quieren presentar denuncia, pues con el apoyo.
In all the forums in which we are present, in all of them, including the president, it is our job to defend Mexicans abroad.
Pues es defender a los mexicanos en el exterior.
Also in Mexico, an effigy mound in the shape of a scorpion made of travertine stone was located in Tehuacan Valley in Puebla. This mound, which dates back to between 600 and 1100 AD, is part of a complex covering approximately 9 hectares that includes 11 other mounds, some with rooms and a well. A modern offering was found at the head of the scorpion with vessels containing tobacco and chilies, suggesting the continuity of cultural practices in the area. In addition, various objects were recovered from the discovery, including ritual and commercial utensils, indicating exchanges between different Mesoamerican regions. In Mexico, 11 municipalities in Jalisco have reported damage from a storm due to flooding and rising streams and rivers. In light of the situation, the governor of Jalisco, Pablo Lemos Navarrose, committed to supporting those affected and making budget relocations to assist them. Lemos assured that mitigation efforts will be strengthened through the construction of a regulatory reservoir in the Colmena de Miramar area. With these measures, the state government seeks to immediately respond to current emergencies and, at the same time, move forward with preemptive infrastructure to reduce the risk of flooding in the city. For its part, Bermuda closed its schools, government offices, and international airports in anticipation of the imminent arrival of Hurricane Imelda, which is expected to hit the island late Wednesday and sustain winds of Category 1. The Minister of National Security, Michael Wickes, announced at a press conference that Hurricane Imelda will be sustained winds for at least 6 hours, accompanied by heavy rains that could cause power outage. Schools, government offices, and the airport will remain closed, while bus and ferry services have been suspended. In addition, an emergency shelter has been set up to protect the population. We have a second short break coming up now. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, but we'll be right back with more from the South. Don't go away. Welcome back. Palestine Hamas resistance movement assesses a ceasefire agreement in the Palestinian territories, proposed by US President Donald Trump. The proposal was presented by Egypt and Qatar to Hamas, and it was emphasized that the movement's negotiators will approach it in a responsible manner. For its part, the White House announced that the plan was discussed with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said he was the support of the leaders of Arab and Islamic countries. In response to the proposal, Hamas negotiators said that their mediators will study the plan and submit a response to it. Meanwhile, the International Global Summit flotilla bound for the Gaza Strip enters the interception zone of the Israeli occupation and is approached by Israeli vessels in recent hours. According to their Instagram account, the humanitarian flotilla was approached by an Israeli military vessel, intimidating the groups of activists and damaging the communication system of the leader vessels Alma and Sirius. The group of more than 50 civilian vessels heading for Gaza with humanitarian aid crossed the naval boundary set by Israel without the company of military ships from Spain or Italy. The flotilla declared their intention to break the blockade through a non-violent, symbolic and humanitarian action. Also, the crew informed that drone activity has increased over the flotilla as it entered the high-risk zone, the area where previous flotillas have been attacked and or intercepted. In China, the Beijing Palace Museum hosted a special exhibition to celebrate its centennial, with a total of 200 cultural relics that captivated all attendees. This exhibition, divided into 3 sections, highlights the evolution of the ancient imperial palace into the current museum and its cultural legacy. Notable pieces include relics such as 5 oxen along the river during the Qingming festival and the rectangular lotus and crane Hu. The latter piece was restored due to its great historical significance. Currently, the museum has implemented digital technology to improve the conservation of its works and the visitor experience, including an immersive viewing space that uses 3D technology to show the relics and their artisanal details. The 27th Santo Domingo International Book Fair is being held in the Dominican Republic in honor of the renowned Dominican historian Frank Moya Pons. This year, the event's guest in honor is the Latin America Literary Fair and Festivals Network. The festival will continue until October 5th, with its 15 thematic sections, conferences, and more than 120 exhibition spaces, with the aim of continuing to bring reading to all audiences, with special attention to school children and children in order to strengthen their experiences and creativity. In Cuba, at the House of the Americas, the book Fidel and the Palestinian and Arab Cause by former diplomat and writer Raúl Rodríguez Ramos was presented. The author highlights the military leader's position on the situation in Lebanon and Palestine, as well as Cuba's stance on protecting the interests of both countries, focusing on the 1982 Lebanese conflict. From this perspective, Rodriguez, who was a diplomat in Lebanon and Libya, shares his experiences, analysis, and historical memories in his writings. He highlights the commitment of Fidel to justice and the self-determination of nations. The editorial note emphasizes that, in these times, it is essential to record the history of the fictitious conflict between Israel and Palestine.
Since the triumph of the revolution, Fidel realized that both the Palestinian and Lebanese movements were movements rooted in human nature. The Palestinians were defending their dignity, their Palestinian essence, because their lands had been conquered by the Zionist enemy, and they had to fight for the land of their grandparents and ancestors to be freed. And in the same way, the Lebanese, you cannot talk about Palestine without talking about Lebanon. Despite the genocide, injustice, and pain we experience in Palestine and Lebanon, where we lose every day children to malnutrition and bombs, where we lose our homes, peace, security, and tranquility, we will continue to hold on to Fidel, to his revolution, to Fidel of the poor, to Fidel of the oppressed and persecuted, to Fidel of the resistant fighters who never give up because of all the agreements they make, and all those who protect their seats and their economic privileges and sell the rights of their peoples.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Sophie Fernandez. Thank you for watching.